they ever ask you to come to the WWF show?
Yeah, one time I actually had a tryout, but it really wasn't, my kind of thing, and it was kind of when I wasn't really thinking about even getting back into wrestling, so just really wasn't.
That was after the big run in Japan.
It was after the kind of stuff, so I kind of didn't really want to do it.
Memories of your time as a part of Thunder and Lightning. I guess that's a hard question because it's so broad.
Yeah, but you know what? Clark, still is my best friend.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's like a brother. He's best man at my wedding, and I at his. So, yeah, it was a really good time, and we were green. We didn't know anything, and we were just kind of learning the ropes, and we got to travel around a lot, and again go to Japan together during that tag team tournament in all Japan, and just great time together. Designing the outfits, making the capes. We did a lot of that stuff ourselves, so it was just fun to share that with your best friend.
What was Chono like?
Chono was awesome. Chono was the leader of a lot of the stuff we did. He was the leader of the Team 2000, and just was a very knowledgeable and experienced wrestler. So if you want anybody to like be your team captain, be the guy who at the helm, it was Chono. So yeah, he was amazing.
Let's talk about Muta. Was it like Muta, another huge star?
He's like the top guy there. Like probably the biggest superstar, in the country. And he's just, another guy that's, so talented, has so much knowledge about wrestling, in the ring. And, and the other thing is in Japan, they start these guys out young and they really learn everything about the business. They learn everything about the ring. They know all the different holds and maneuvers and the psychology. They learn on it. Muta is, consummate professional. Been all over the world. He was in the U.S., he was in Mexico. These are guys. They tend to send them around to different places so that they learn the different styles. They go to Europe. They go to all these places.
Excursions.
Yeah. So they end up becoming really well-rounded wrestlers that can really wrestle any style. And Muta was one of those guys that really epitomized being able to kind of do anything.
What was Lex Luger like to wrestle?
Oh, we were talking about this today. Nick and I were talking about Lex, and I just remember, when I got into WCW, seeing Lex, and just, he was just so organized, and so he had everything. Back then they used to have the Halliburton cases, the big metal cases that you carry around, and Lex just had everything was perfect. His outfit, his trunks, everything, and I admired Lex for just who he was. And I still admire Lex, of course. So we had some good matches. I have some really good matches with Lex, and I enjoyed working Lex. He's a great guy.
So Buff, we talked earlier. He's had a tour in Japan, and then
it was the stuff. Yeah. No, Marcus came over with us a lot for he came over for a couple tours. And Marcus he's a great talent. He can work and he looks great. Mm-hmm. And he used to do this thing in the ring. It was hysterical. He would he'd do this thing where he'd say "Hi domo," in Japanese, and it got a huge pop every time he did it. And he would do it. He would take the guy in the corner and then do like a clean break and then be like "Hi domo," and it was hysterical. I laughed every time I saw him do it, and it was popular. Marcus is one of those guys going to be popular anywhere he is, really. So he's a showman and a performer, and he was a big star in Japan.
You got any memories of Dusty Rhodes?
Yeah, Dusty was another legend in our business. Dusty was a groundbreaker and innovator and a trailblazer. And I mean, if you're a kid, I mean, I'm old, but I grew up watching Dusty and those guys, and he was by far one of the most entertaining guys that were in the business.
What was he doing in WCW? Was he just booking when you were there, or was he?
He was booking and a part of the mentoring a lot of people and helping us, and I mean, Dusty was one of those guys that would get in the ring with you and show you something. Yeah, he was hands on, and yeah, he was invaluable to the company at that time. Somebody who had that much experience and knowledge about wrestling was just they were lucky that Dusty was there.
Now, what was it like coming back to Nitro and WCW as like a made guy? You left and you were doing the NWO sting, but when you came back, it probably felt a little different. It wasn't a long time, because you were with New Japan. So,
it's a good question. Did you ask this question or somebody? Oh, okay.
see, I'm going. Thanks for putting me over, Jeff. That was my question.
That's a good question. That's right.
To
Yeah.
Jesse.
It was a little weird because I was a much better wrestler than I was when I left, and so much more experience, and I felt like I had, I was really, honed my skills, and I was in shape physically, and so I was, ready to go. So yeah, I mean, it was a little different coming back. It's like going away from home maybe and coming back, a little bit, feeling like, you've grown up, and that's kind of the way I felt. But we didn't really do much. It was one of those things. I think Chono was just there, and we had a match, and then really nothing really got running, and then nothing really happened. I don't know at what point that was, and whether the NWO stuff was already kind of down, and like a weird time.
Was the locker room as open to you coming in with Chono? Did they feel like? Because I mean, everyone says WCW points to, I guess, a bit of a paranoid. These guys coming in that aren't there all the time are there now in a top TV spot. Was there any kind of jealousy or anything you saw that was different from the last?
I didn't see it, but I'm sure that was one of the big differences. For New Japan for me was, and you and I talked about this earlier, was that there wasn't any politics for me. They might have had their own problems in Japan, but I showed up at the arena. My name was on the board, who I was working with, and I'd go work out and train, and it was like nothing. Nothing was. I didn't have to worry about saying hi to someone or not being appreciative or not knowing what to say or do. It was just really doing the work. And that was what was nice, was that you were able to do your job and go and perform and work hard, and you knew you were going to work hard, and that was a nice thing about Japan. There wasn't any politics, and in WCW, I mean, I didn't even know. I probably was too, not even aware of what was going on or all of that stuff. I was probably too naive to know, some of that was happening.